Good morning, everyone. This is the African Actions Network radio and television station. We are here once again this morning, and we have a very important personality that has joined us, and he's no one else but former Maryland County Senator John Ballout. He's also a former ambassador. So this morning we want to discuss the issue of political parties. Most of you are aware that elections is not far, Liberia's elections, so to speak, and Liberians are supposed to conduct general presidential and legislative elections in October this year. Yet, opposition political parties seem not to be very organized. How to go about that? There's one person who have decided to ensure that there is a united, forceful opposition bloc before 2023 general elections. Is that possible? Well, Senator Ballo has joined us to provide some answers as to how he's going to do that. So stay with us, make your comments, ask the questions, and then share the broadcast. We would appreciate if you did those. Senator Ballo, welcome to the African Action Network.
Well, again, thank you so much for this opportunity. And I follow your platform. Congratulations as Liberians to maintain this international platform that wish you informed Liberians, the diaspora, the world at large. And then you keep this connect between diaspora Liberians and Liberians back home. Your actions, your involvement, your interest, your passion speaks volume about your own attachment to the country. And despite you away, you still got Liberian heart. So I congratulate you for that, your network, and all of you who co-host or host these programs. And congratulations. Thank you. And once again, for the invitation.
Thank you so much for those. I know you are a famous person, but who is Senator John Ballout?
Well, without going to from the day I was born, I think it will be sufficient to state that, okay, my father is a Palestinian refugee to Liberia. My mother is a Grebo woman from Maryland. And I was born in Maryland. I went to my kindergarten, elementary school there. I went to Cathedral Junior High School in Monrovia, then went back to Maryland, Bishop Ferguson High School. Then engineering degree, when I went to the Senate, became a senator for Maryland, senior senator. After the Senate, I went back to the university where I did international relations. I went as ambassador out into the country, representing Liberia to Doha, Qatar for a while, and this new government recalled me, and then I'm back home contributing whatever I can, quota, to help to move this country forward. So in a nutshell, I'm a business person, I'm a family person, I'm a father of 3 children. My wife and I have been married for more than 30 years. I have a strong passion for this country, and because we're here, no other reason, because we're here, and to whom much is given, much is expected. I think in our time, we were the last generation that inherited some semblance of normal life from this country, and we owe it to the younger generation to restore that comfort of life that we experience, and even better for the future. I think you're muted. I'm not hearing you.
Yeah, sorry. Before we talked about political parties, what is your perspective about the situation in Liberia?
Well, I can say this much. I'm also long time strong executive member of the Unity Party. Of course, I had to sever my membership with the party as a way of allowing me to participate in the elections in Maryland. And up to present, I have not reactivated my membership yet, because I have allowed myself to have this neutral space to speak truth to the opposition bloc without having a perspective of bias consideration. So I kept my distance, kept my space to be able to use it for the overall good of the country and the entire opposition bloc. Having said that, I still very much support the Unity Party for what it stands for, what it represents. Very much defend the legacy of the Unity Party despite our own shortcomings. I disagree publicly, openly with anybody who tried to put the Unity Party achievements down and cloud it with all of the, lack of better word, nonsense they talk about the party sometimes. So yes, we do that in defense of the party, and I'm a very strong member of the party still. But if you ask me now how I see the country, I will tell you this much. When Unity Party inherited this country, we received a completely failed state, nothing to begin with, nothing, absolutely nothing, ground zero. In fact, below ground zero. Like I said, there were no roads, no schools, no hospitals, no investment, no opportunities, no airlines, international airlines, no embassies, no economy, nothing. There was absolutely nothing. No Liberians. All the Liberians were still outside in the diaspora, refugee camps all over. They only came back because of the confidence that were installed in by our leadership. And all of the economy that you see that we built, and even now, is the spillover of years of hard work and strong economic measures, reform measures, put in systems and institutions, building confidence all over again. This is things that attracted the kind of experience we had in our economy. And because you change election the same day, it doesn't automatically go back. It continues until you start to reverse the trend that it was taken to move forward. And this government has been doing everything to reverse the trend. And so, yes, we've seen the semblance of normalcy, but that's because of the result of what we have done and the momentum that it had carried into. But you see, if you don't continue to fuel the car and accelerate, even though it was moving with some as appreciable speed, it will gradually decline. It will deaccelerate. And so that's what's happening. That's what this country is experiencing, a deacceleration. And if we don't do anything, it will come to a complete stop again. And the signals are there. What do I mean by that? I mean, we did everything possible to increase people's salaries for almost every year to reach a point of at least minimum salaries of about $150. Today, these guys have cut it down every time to down people are receiving $75, $78, and they're not receiving these salaries. We had efforts to put banks all over the country so that the economy can be decentralized and salaries can be decentralized. Now these banks are closing all over. The hospitals, hundreds of hospitals were built across this country with schools. These hospitals were furnished and clinics were furnished with these hundreds of clinics across were furnished with drugs. Today, there are no drugs in these places to the region and people that need it the most. People, volunteers now, 50% almost of the education system are all volunteers, not taking pay, undermining the economic, the education quality. The health system, more than 50% is also volunteers, not taking pay. You have the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency, that's responsible for curbing the kind of unprecedented influx of uncontrollable illicit drugs in this country. Today, you have 60% of these people in the DEA are volunteers. They just get a uniform based on party ID card and loyalty. They're not taking pay. These people are facilitating the drug trade. So we see a general degradation of our social economic condition that is putting this country backwards. And
That brings
this
us
is
to point.
where
Senator Ballo, I
this is
know
what
that you
compels.
are Senator Ballo. I know you are very outspoken, and you've been a senator before. We know your power in having a very strong dialogue. But we have this the Unity Party. We are not here to merit what it did. We are more specific. I just actually so that we have a general idea, and I think you have spoken a lot. But let's go to the main issue this morning. The opposition political parties. Um, there was an effort, and we saw what was known as the collaborating political party, the CPP. That did not work, even though there are few of the many that still believed to be in an opposition political party. But that is not the expectation of Liberians. Now, you say you can unite the opposition bloc and prepare a forceful opposition for elections. Is that possible, or is that what you are saying?
Well, let's make some corrections here. I am not
Okay.
saying I am going to do that. I mean, nobody can force anybody to
Right.
think and reason in the direction of this country. I am playing my part as an individual. I'm playing my
Okay.
part as an eminent statesman, as a prominent citizen of this country. I'm playing my part as an opinion leader. I'm playing my part of a former senator, ambassador, major stakeholder in our body politics of our country. Not everybody enjoys the kind of status that I enjoy. And this kind of
Okay.
a status, once acquired, is meant to be used as a platform to speak for those who are not privileged to have such a platform to speak on the issues nationally and internationally. Had someone else spoken the way I had spoken, you probably would not have had them on this platform because it is Ambassador John Ballout. That's why I'm here. So it's upon us to make use of this kind of a leverage we have in society, this standing to speak on behalf of the country. And I'm not telling you this is what, oh, I'm going to unite. I'm hoping to unite. And I'm
Okay.
inviting everyone else to join us. I'm inviting you to join. I'm glad you already said this is what you subscribe to also. And I'm inviting all well-meaning Liberians to get involved. No one person is going to do this. And that's why when I called, I hope you followed my recent press conference
Mm.
where I spoke directly to the members of the opposition bloc and made a way, a proposal way forward. I meant to do this. I did this because when you throw it out like this, it's in the air for everyone to digest, to assess and digest. Because when it's like this, even these political leaders in the privacy of their homes at night when no one is there, they're watching these videos and they're listening to the argument
Right. Right.
and
Right.
their wives, their spouses, they're listening to this. The people of the inner circle, they're listening. Their friends, their confidants are listening because
But
it's not
Senator
easy.
Balu, are you taking actions? I know for sure what you did having a press conference. That's some of the way to go about it. But are you reaching out or have you reached to any of those people? Because time is not in favor of opposition political bloc.
That's the first step we did. I mean, and I'm sure you followed me. So this is not my first, second, third, or fourth intervention on the subject matter.
Right.
We've been doing it. I've made my rounds. I've consulted with Ambassador Boaka 2, 3 times on this issue, and consulted with Mr. Cummings 2, 3 times on this issue. I've consulted with Mr. Yuri. You understand? When we didn't yield, when I didn't get the kind of a promising signal, assuring signal, then I went public on this matter and I started to speak to the issues public and we stir the population into engaging themselves in the debate. And so, yes,
Okay.
the debate has been put out into the public, and members of these constituent parties of the opposition bloc have been entertaining debates on these things. Now, we went a step forward because, like you said, elections are close by now. We can't
Right.
continue going like this. I was compelled to speak to the issue because, as is, Ambassador Boaka was gearing up, or is still gearing up, to finding Vice Bearer.
Mm.
And Mr. Cummings has been and probably still is trying to identify a Vice Bearer. Now, when you reach that point, then it almost makes it irreversible, you
Sure.
know?
Right.
And therefore we are going on a head-on collision on a path, and that path and that collision is not a good one. It's a fatal crash for the opposition. It's
Okay.
going to cause a great loss to the opposition. So in the ninth minute, I'm trying to see how we can still make sense to them, how we can still appeal to them. After my statement, after my press conference, I've had a lot of interviews after that, and some of this is still part of the follow-up. I am now reaching out to Ambassador Cummings again, and Mr. Cummings again, and Ambassador Boaka again, and I'm inviting all well-meaning Liberians who enjoy close proximity to these eminent statesmen to use their proximity, use their connection, use their education, use whatever that they have that allows them to not only get close to the people, but allows them to enjoy the confidence of these people. Use it so that we can all make sense This country is on the verge of total collapse. We are a laughing stock. We are now getting back to where we were before Unity Party took over this country. Our integrity, our reputation had been drawn to the bottom. People were looking at Liberia as a joke. That's how we're starting to look again. And if we don't put our act together and understand that we're all in this together and look beyond ourselves and put the interests of these children first, put the interests of the vulnerable poor people first, put the interests of the millions of young people going to university without jobs, put the interests of the vulnerable elderly ones who are without social security. If we don't put our interests aside and look at these, then we have failed this country. And I just said it as part of the measures and the reasons for my debate, for my argument. I made it clear you don't have a choice. You either unite and win this election first round, sweep the entire legislature, or divide and risk losing. In fact, most probably lose. This is a ruling party that you have that enjoys the luxury of controlling state resources. And they don't set limitations for themselves. These people delve into their state resources and play with it as they choose. I'm not hearing you. So if you're speaking, I'm not hearing you.
Yeah, I said somebody will say you have a very good intention, but political party is about belief system, is about ideology, is about people agreeing to do certain things. Now, you like you rightly said, if the the Cummings, the Buckeye, are now contemplating of selecting their vice, standard bearers for the upcoming elections, meaning the idea of them going alone is almost like an executive committee decision of their organizations. Now, with your good ideas, um, I'm wondering, or Liberian will be thinking whether that is achievable in your own mind, your own belief system. Can you transcend that to them? Can they? You have spoken to some of them, and there are many other political parties, no matter whether they are small or not. By this time, you could say, okay, I have gotten the consent of 3 political parties, 10 political parties. This is what we are, and I think we're going to increase that number. So I'm asking you, have you? I mean, I know you have said you are talking to people, but are there any concrete decision thus far, or how do you intend to reinforce that?
What I can say this much to you, and I will not be able to go beyond this point because of the sensitivity of the subject matter involved and the
Okay.
stage that we're in. There are a lot of people from both sides who agree that we need to work together, and that's encouraging. A lot of people from both sides who have reached out to me and see what we can do. And for the moment, I think I just want to remain optimistic, keep my fingers crossed, and engage these people and reach out to these various political leaders again and see how we can salvage, what's left of this partnership with the opposition. Again, let me also make this correction. This is not only about Ambassador Boakai and Mr. Cummings.
Right.
Don't forget, you also have Mr. Uri in the factor. You also have Senator Lawrence in the factor. And these people are equally important into this whole exercise of reuniting the opposition bloc. In fact, I think they have, to a larger extent, great influence in helping that thing to work. So I also appeal to them to use that the position that they enjoy and make use of it to unite this opposition bloc. Let me just say this much to you. I said it. The Liberian people, and I think you should play my press conference. I hope you have played it before the interview so that everyone follows to know what we are talking about, being brought up to speed. But just to reiterate, I reminded the opposition bloc that Liberians in the vast majority, had rejected this government. They opted and prayed for a united opposition, and we got it. They were so excited for it. We went for elections, and we were talking senatorial elections, not representative elections, senatorial election that strikes the average of the county. In
Right.
those senatorial elections, the ruling party, the CDC, won only 3 out of 15. This is to tell you that the people of this country were fed up with this ruling party. They were fed up with the level of incompetence, level of insensitivity, level of corruption, level of abuse of power, level of just irresponsibility. And this they wanted something better. And in the
Hmm.
leadership that Mr. Ambassador Buhari, these people were inspired. And that's why they work the way they work, and the opposition CPP won 8 of those seats. And even in the instances where we didn't win those seats, it was because of confusion within the CPP. That we're supposed to learn from those examples and improve upon them for the 2023 elections. With that kind of victory,
Right.
opposition got overconfident. They got complacent. They consider it well, it's a done deal. The moment the truth arrived, we started to go for leadership of the CPP, who to be stand up. And that's where all the problems started from. We started saying insults being rained on each other from members and from the party leadership themselves. We've seen people go to the courts. We've seen the Rick Maru. We've seen Liberty Party split. Just disheartening for the people of this country who had developed so much hope and confidence. So
And I
I'm
think
just saying to
that's a cross, Senator Ballout. That's a cross of the matter. Who is to be a standard bearer? If you succeed in bringing people together, the timing is so short, and that would be where again they all will not want to give up. Who would be standard bearer of the opposition bloc? Who would be vice standard
but
bearer? It's an
it's
issue that
simple.
divided those people, and those issues still remain.
Yes, but those issues they've been trying to resolve it on their own. They've not been able to.
Right.
Now, I propose a way forward in my press statement. I said to them clearly, let's let's see the most probable leader and winner in the elections. Who is that? Ambassador Boakai. Why? Why? It's not because I like him. It's because Ambassador Boakai, by his age, he's the elder statesman. By his experience, he has more experience than any one of them politically. He has been vice president twice. This is a man who was in this country throughout the war. He never fled this country. He lived here. He went through the struggles with everyone. He became vice president. He reformed this country. He built this country with President Sirleaf. We are where we are because of people like Ambassador Boakai. This man was vice president 2 terms, 12 years, and no one person can point to a scandal on him. No one person can question his integrity, his credibility, his competence. No one person. Now, that speaks volume of him. That's from the perspective of
Leader the
superiority in
party.
age, superiority in experience. But let's look at the numerical strength, because democracy, politicians related to just contest of numbers. This man has more than twice of all the opposition parties' collective votes in the past election. More than twice. So, yes, in terms of numerical strength, he is also a leader. So I'm just saying, and he has won all the opinion polls in this country, including with the current government. He has won all the opinion polls. So when we look at all of these things put together, this gives you a logical conclusion that Ambassador Boakai is a consensus candidate.
But Senator Balu,
Now,
many person listening to you will have serious problem with you. Unless, yeah,
may I just complete my statement,
okay,
please?
all right.
I propose that Ambassador Boakai goes as the standard bearer. I also propose that Mr. Alexander Cummings goes as the vice standard bearer. Why? Because of the opposition bloc, they were the only two contesting. So if we have to have some form of union, one will have to be president and Mr. Standard bearer, the other will have to be vice standard bearer. And Joseph Boakai, who's been vice president twice, will not go vice president when at the age of 78. He's not contesting again after this. Ambassador Boakai is done with politics after his term. He's not contesting. When you are vice president, you are at a president in the making. You're being groomed to take over the leadership of this country. Mr. Cummings, by his age, by his expertise, by his competence, by his credibility, integrity, that it remains intact. In fact, I have publicly said that Mr. Cummings is the most competent of all the politicians today vying for the presidency in this country. Now, this man, being a vice president, will inherit the presidency and he will be better prepared and we would have satisfied this equation of first round victory. So by him going second doesn't take anything away from him in terms of his competence or his popularity or his eligibility or suitability to be a president. No, he is the finest that we have. But Ambassador Boaka is a man of more experience politically, domestic politics. He understands the actors, he understands the challenges, the opportunities. He understands what we have before us. He's been there. He knows the international connections in our government from the region. All of this, he has those things. He knows the political actors. He knows what needs to be done. This is a 78-year-old man who's not trying to amass wealth. He's not trying to get a yacht to go for vacation. He's not trying to go watch a football game for 1 month. He's trying to leave a legacy that we can set a foundation to save this next generation. And who's better to be his vice president to take over the mantle and take the country to the highest level this country has ever seen? Alexander Cummings. So my proposal was that let us have a MOU signed that guarantees that Mr. Cummings will be the next standard bearer of this opposition bloc. I went beyond that. I also said, let Senator Yomi Kanga Lawrence go as president pro tempore of the Senate. What a better person to be pro tempore. She and I served together as senators. I know her. I respect her. I hold her in very high esteem. She is the longest serving senator in that place now. And she has more experience than any senator there. This is a woman who worked towards making the system work. Now, to produce a senator requires a lot of money, resources, and time. We already have a senator sitting. We just need to make her the pro tempore. And that is a balanced equation. I also proposed in my statement that MOU should be signed that guarantees when Alexander Cummings' turn reaches to be the standard bearer, that he would choose his vice standard bearer from the Liberty Party. This further expands on meeting the aspirations and all of these parties. I also mentioned that there will be a MOU signed that guarantees a significant involvement of the ALP into the governance of the country. And I also propose that all efforts be made to unite the Liberty Party. This is what is needed to save this country. I'm not bothered about whether it's working or not. I'm not bothered about who thinks it's going to work or who thinks it's not going to work. I'm not bothered about who wants to stand in the way. I am more interested in living with my conscience, and I challenge every one of you, live with your conscience, do the right thing, and hold a position, make every effort to the last minute in showing that this works. Because if we don't do this, this country will lose and we will all go backwards in this country for a long time to come.
Senator Ballout, I was calling to a point earlier. You have put forth a solution, and that solution, as good as it will sound from someone like you, but the other bloc will see it as though that's a Unity Party solution. You being a member of the Unity Party, although you say
I'm
you are
not a
not
current, I'm not
fine,
a
you are
current
not
member.
fine. You have not regularized your status yet since
I
the last
resigned
election.
from the party. I'm not a current member yet. Yes.
Okay, so but that your ideology is tailored towards the Unity Party, and so that is the reason why you are proposing Joseph Boakai, and you knowing that that's the crust of the issue. One would think that you probably would have kept that as one of the bargaining chip rather than taking a side. I mean, I understand you want to live with your conscience. I believe you, right? You are an outspoken person, but that is an issue that the CPP executive committee will say, "Wait now, Senator Balu wants to bring us together, but now he is already proposing. Why don't you leave that with the political parties themselves to make a decision?"
Look, I am proposing. What I'm saying, who am I to impose on them? I'm not imposing on them.
Okay.
I'm just proposing. And the reason why everyone is discussing this in this country, because it makes sense.
I agree. I mean,
Because
Opposition
it
Black
makes
will not coming together as an issue for them. They might lose the
because
election. That is the fact.
even the proposal makes sense. And anybody who thinks that I am speaking, no, they say it both ways. People from the Unity Party say, "Oh, Senator Ballout is supporting Cummings because Cummings from Maryland." Okay, he's supporting his Maryland brother because I have not reactivated my membership with the party. I condemned Unity Party when it broke away from the CPP, and everybody thought, "Oh, because I'm supporting Cummings." No, no, no. I'm supporting Cummings 100%. I'm supporting Joseph Newman Bwaka 100% because I support Liberia 100%. Nothing else. As I speak to you, I don't have conversation with the both of them right now. I'm trying to re-engage them. Mr. Cummings thinks, "Oh, because I'm from Unity Party," and people around him says that. But deep
Okay.
inside, they know what I'm
Mm.
saying is true. They know. Let me help you to get some other facts clear. Mr. Cummings, by my own appreciation of the political system, I mean, political situation in our country, he is the fastest growing politician, popularity in this country. You understand me? He's the
Mm.
fastest growing politician, but his numbers still haven't reached Joseph Boakai. You understand
That
that?
is that is that is that
Joseph
is not
Boakai.
for you to determine.
No, 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 no. We're not
Because
talking for me to beat it. Look, you see, you should please. We're not going this, like an argument. I'm here on
no,
the ground. I'm a politician. You're there on that side. You are assessing things from there. We're seeing things
right.
from two different perspectives. And I'm not a loyalist for Boakai or against Cummings or Cummings against Boakai. No, I remain neutral. That's why I deliberately do not approach them too personally because this will compromise my neutral posture.
Fine.
You understand? I'm
Right.
keeping a safe distance to be able to debate these issues logically,
But your statement does not
objectively.
suggest that. When I'm asking you a question, Senator Balu, there are people who listen to us, right? I'm not sitting here as though I must agree with everything you say. So the audience will be asking this question. If you think about your discussion,
Well,
one
you
would think
already
that
agree with me anyway. You already
okay,
said you agree with me, so we're not arguing with you. I think you can
fine,
share your
fine.
views of
So
your
so
views.
so your position right now doesn't seem to be a neutral position. That's one issue that I wanted you to really focus the discussion on too, because the audience, those you're going to be speaking to, Cummings have his own people behind him. Likewise, Barker fellows would be, definitely supporting your position because that's what they want. I don't know about
Who told you
Lurie.
that? How sure of you? No, you can say that. I'm sorry. I beg to differ. There are
I
too
mean,
many
you're right.
people from the Baka side who are against. You know why? Because from the Baka side, there are people with vested interest in who they want to see as vice standard bearer. You understand me?
Right.
They have people who are campaigning for some other people, who are taking names, they all have at least 5, 6 names in front of Baka right now. Now, these people who are purporting and supporting these names don't want to hear what we're saying. There are people from the Cummings side who are now putting names. They have the same 5, 6 names before Cummings. And those who are supporting these people don't want to see this happen. And mind you, 80% of those calls you receive on your computer today, they're not even from the Unity Party-led opposition or from the ANC-led opposition. They're from the CDC. They're from the CDC. They're sending these messages, we'll never take this man or this man, and sending things that throw missiles on both sides. You know why? Because the Joseph Newman Bwaka Alexander Cummings ticket is the worst nightmare for this CDC government. It is the political jolobo. You understand me? They know that. They're afraid of it so much. They have now their cyber task force. They're sending messages. They're insulting. They're throwing things to divide these two people from happening because that is what they are most afraid of. And I'm just saying to all of these people from the opposition bloc, be mindful of these goats or whatever in sheep clothing. They are not one of you. They are people being infiltrated on social media to cause this stir and division. People like us with the experience together over a number of years in politics, we know these tactics. We remain focused on your objective. Everything else is a distraction. What is the objective? I
Okay.
think too much noise coming from the other side. If
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
mind
Yeah.
controlling.
Um, Sorry for that. Sorry for that intervention. Right, and
Right.
I do believe that someone like you, some of us who are observing the political process, we are in agreement that without a united opposition political party, there will be problem for them in the general election, general presidential elections. That's a hard fight, and they themselves, I think, they should know that. Coming by himself
Maybe.
cannot win election, and Barkai by himself cannot win elections. So the only thing I would think about: are you also uh, making room? Sometimes your discussions, your own effort could fail, to unite them, but there's very likely election going for a second round, the presidential elections, and then there were, if they are not together, if they are not in agreement, they are not discussing as opposition black, you don't necessarily take the giant step to say this is where we're going. But you must leave room for those kind of a situation. Why if election went for a second round? If you don't have a common idea, I mean, they're all going to go scattered. Their supporters not going to go along with them. Are you going that direction, like what in your discussion, or what you putting that in your plan?
Well, that plan B is a disastrous plan. It's suicidal,
Okay.
catastrophic. It is self-destruction. And let me tell you why. In acquiring state leadership, most people think it's the presidency. It's not. It goes beyond the presidency. It extends to include the legislature. Today, we're going for 15 seats in the Senate and 70 something seats, 73 seats in the House of Representatives. So you pretty much have 80% of the legislature going for election. Now, if you go divided, saying that runoff, we will support each other, whoever gets there, two things will happen. One, you will lose the entire legislature to this ruling party, the entire legislature. Now, one member of the opposition will win that seat. So if all of them thinking that we're campaigning, we can win, I don't care how confident you are, you will lose. And let me tell you why you will lose.
Why?
You will lose because the CDC is putting forth a candidate. The CDC is not the Congress for Democratic Change. The CDC is a coalition. That means it's a conglomeration of political parties, like just pretty much like the CPP was. And they are putting forth a single candidate. But within that county or that constituency, you're going to have Unity Party-led opposition putting forth a candidate. You're going to have ANC-led opposition putting forth a candidate. And in the midst of all this breakdown of the opposition unity, you're going to have at least 4 to 5 or 3 to 4 different independent candidates, or from political or smaller political parties. And they're all going to spoil the votes, and the CDC is going to win. Right now, as I speak to you, CDC doesn't enjoy more than 40% of the popular vote of this country. But the 60% that the opposition enjoys, if you divide it by 3, you will be left with 20%, or less than 30%, or less than 35. In either case, you will be less than 40% that the CDC will be having. And so in either case, you are going to lose. And when you lose the entire legislature, you can win the presidency, you're useless. These guys in the opposition, they are going to be giving you two complete and constant threats of impeachment, non-compliance. They are going to stall your progress. They are going to undermine your programs, and they're going to make it difficult for you. So that's how we shouldn't go divided to this election, because of risk of losing the entire legislature. Put that aside. When you granted that one of them will go for the runoff, and in this case, I will tell you most certainly, it will probably be Ambassador Boakai. Ambassador Boakai goes for the runoff. You think the kind of bad blood that had developed over 2 years of in-house fighting, and that they were not able to reconcile over 2 years, you think they will be able to reconcile that in a month or two to run off? No. I will tell you what will happen. You're going to have supporters of Cummings saying, nah, man, these people are not serious in this country. I'm not going to bother to vote. And if they don't vote, who benefits? The CDC.
Okay.
Considering Wait a minute,
So the,
excuse me, considering that Cummings goes for the runoff.
mm,
Ambassador Boaka, people say this is the most for the old man way. They're not going to go vote for him. They're going to sit on the fence. And who benefits? The CDC. And at that
but
point in time,
at that
opposition will be
stage,
crying that they cheated them. Then the opposition will be crying foul. They cheated us. They cheated us. And yes, these guys are prepared to cheat. They are prepared to cheat. Look at all the signals on the wall, all the red flags that the opposition is not taking care of. They are fighting each other. But you would not complain to anybody because you caused your own defeat. You saw what happened in Lofa. I said that. For the first time since the opposition had come together, the opposition failed to win an election in the least expected place, Lofa County. And you think we lost in Lofa because we lost because we were not united.
Senator Balu,
Yes.
as I said earlier, you are a very forceful discussant, and so we will keep this.
It's not
topic
about being forceful. It's not about being.
What I'm saying,
it's about
what
the
I'm
logic,
saying, Senator.
argument. Go ahead.
Yes, Senator. What I'm saying, time is fast spent. We have another segment here. We will bring two individuals who will engage you shortly. We take our comments, and from there we will probably have to reschedule maybe another discussion that will give you the opportunity as you engage this opposition political party. I know it's an ongoing discussion. And so for us at 2A Radio, we also want to follow up on your discussion, how far you are, whether that will yield a fruitful result or what you may want to be telling Liberians. We also want to do that. All right. So in short, we have two of our regular discussing here too. They wanted to come on earlier. We did not inform you, so because of that, I didn't want to bring parallel ideas here.
Just bring them up.
All right. So we're going to take comment from them, and then from there we have series of concerns here. Questions are asked, then we ask those questions, and then we probably will call this a day onto another arrangement. So we have with us Chuchu Alex Jones. He's one of the younger person who is thinking like he can take over the presidency of Liberia. Now, there's a whole idea about Liberia situation right now. Like somebody would say, Joseph Broker has aged. We need someone like the Zelensky in Ukraine, some youthful person that will really be able to mount the effort. And this ancient time of Liberia, people looking at Liberia, look, Liberia has been backward. And you will agree with that. Why should we keep bringing the old people on? And then, why couldn't it be Senator Ballout? Why couldn't he be president? Why the United Party could not look around for a youthful president? I say youthful in the sense of the way you think, the way you move, the way you do things. The world is not going our way. Okay, we keep on, and somebody want to talk about, Joe Biden. Don't talk about Joe Biden because Joe Biden, the system of America is built. Liberia has no built system that people can rely on. Howbeit, let's take comment from Chuchu, and I'll come right back to you, Senator Ballo. Chuchu, how are you? Welcome.
Oh, thank you very much. And I was listening to the conversation this morning during my workout, and I just thought to add my voice. Chuchu Alex Jones, I'm a presidential aspirant. I'm also part of a newly formed alliance of coalition parties other than the four major parties. And Senator Ballout, Ambassador Ballout says something that really struck me in terms of Ambassador Boyka being the only person with the experience, with the qualification, and has the opinion polls. So I would just like to make a first correction. First of all, there have been no scientific opinion polls in Liberia. Done. Secondly, I don't think he or anybody can speak and claim that 60% of the voters support Ambassador Boyka. First of all, Liberia, most of the population, the voting population, all right, is under 30. These people are completely disconnected, including myself. Not 45. Okay? And they're completely disconnected from that era. So I think it would be a big, colossal mistake if the Unity Party and ANC believes that they are the only opposition and that the people are behind them. We are not behind them. We will not support them. We campaign vigorously against this coalition.
What happened? Okay. Really, we don't have the time right now for the right?
Well, that's just my comment. That's just my comment.
Okay, that's good. We address that.
Right. So that's just my comment. The second point I would like to make here is that when you talk about record, Honorable Bwaga has one of the worst record as a public official in Liberia, and that will also be brought forward. He was Minister of Agriculture. Today, our country do not have a food sufficiency. He was Managing Director of LNPC, and there was nothing fruitful. He was Vice President, one of the most corrupt and dysfunctional government, the Unity Party government, for 12 years. So these are the issues we'll be promulgating, and we are not supporting the existing CPP or any other CPP that will be formed. If Joshua wins the election, so be it, because we do not believe that the Unity Party and the same people that got our country to where it is today.
Well, Alex, before you leave, time is really not your favor. Will you support anyone like Senator Ballout who want to bring the opposition bloc together? Will you support that idea?
Well, first of all, Senator Ballout or anybody has to come out and make their platform known. They have to tell us we are not in the business of supporting people like a club, football club. So if anybody wants to run, this election should be about issue. Liberia is the 7th poorest country. Okay, Somalia, Mali, they're better than Liberia because of this kind of attitude of where, because somebody feel they're more popular. This is not a pageantry.
Okay. Alex, I think your comments are taken. I'm really looking at time, and Senator Ballout will address that, right? As I said, maybe we will find a time to see whether we can bring all of you on the platform to really discuss some of these issues in detail. Senator Ballout, you have heard from Alex Jones. He said he wants to be president too, and that you have not reached out to them, and for them, they are also building their own block. So, I mean, your comment.
What I haven't said I want to be president. I didn't say that. I'm saying that we need to unite the opposition to make them win this election. And let me congratulate Mr. Jones for his own, aspirations, wanting to be president of Liberia. I commend you for that. That's the spirit. That's what everybody should have, strong enough interest to want to get involved to make things work. But I will only caution you, Mr. Jones. I mean, you have been introduced as the youngest person on that block. I will only caution you to approach politics with caution, with a little bit of maturity, for lack of a better word, not to take anything from you. I was like you at a certain point in time. You came looking at everything and you think you're condemning everything. No. First of all, I did not say that Mr. Ambassador Bwaga is the only experienced person to be like, no. I said, of all of them, he's the most experienced person. I also said Mr. Cummings is the most competent one. I did not say that 60% of the voters support Ambassador Bwaga. No, I said 60% of the voters support the opposition. But if that opposition is going to be divided by 2-3 people, we're going to lose. So, and again, I heard you say you're going to vigorously campaign against Ambassador Bwaga and anything with the CPP and all of that.
Mm-hmm. That is correct.
I'm very hurt by this statement coming from a young man like you who has, I can see clearly, the passion to want to make a difference in this country. What you don't know about Ambassador Bwaga, don't listen to people telling you things. What you should know about is what's before you. Ambassador Bwaga was Minister of Agriculture. So was everyone else in this country, president, vice president, manager, finance minister, planning minister, and the rest of it. The problem Liberia has goes beyond the individual Liberia. It's a collective problem. It's a systemic problem. It's a national problem. where we have not grounded our society with proper education, with systems, with institutions, and with an overall vision. We lack a lot of these things. And if you start to look at bits and pieces and conclude from one perspective, you will be doing yourself a great disservice in understanding local Liberian politics that you want to get involved with at the highest level. So I would urge you, you can contact me personally, one-on-one. We can have a conversation, and just to help you understand what's going on here. What is before us here today is, you say you don't even care if it means George Weah will win his election, he will win his election. But you will not support this opposition, you will not support anybody from the CP. When I hear this, wow, then I hope we have this conversation. I mean, I seem to like you already, so I don't want us to say things that that would not be kind to each other. But anybody who will reach a point and say that if it means the country will go to hell, it doesn't care about you will not support this, you will not, without really not understanding, then I think there is a fallacy of thought. And I think we need to take time. And you can have my number. They have my number there. I will be more than willing to talk with you. And the next time we talk on the radio, on this talk show, you will be speaking a different language, and I can assure you that. But for the time being, please take care. Who Joseph Boakai is. Let me help you to understand who Joseph Boakai is. I worked with the man for 9 years in the Senate. This is a very peaceful man. This is a very well-meaning Liberian. This man served diligently on his records. And people who say these things, they don't know him, so they just say trash about him. The same thing with Alexander Cummings, one of the best this country ever produced. Somebody who managed one of the biggest corporations in the States than the Coca-Cola worldwide. That became second in the rank of leadership. A $40 billion revenue stream. This man who has a discipline of managing this system. That is the kind of man who understands economy. The greatest problem in this country is to build our economy, put food on the table, jobs for these people. And that is the man. They don't have anything to say about him, but to call him gay, because they can't say he's not competent. They can't say he doesn't know his job. He's not a man of integrity. They can't say he doesn't believe in institutions. He's not organized. He's not visionary. He's not competent. They can't say that. So they go to gutter and they say, oh, they're gay. And guess what?
Okay, Senator Ballout will take our last. Senator Ballout will take a comment from one of our listeners, one of our contributors. Senator Ballout, hello.
And try to understand who we have before us. These are great statesmen that I admire and respect.
I think.
And I want you to take a little time.
Senator, I think. And 1 minute.
Hello. Senator Ballout. Senator Ballout will take comment from one of our contributors, and from that we'll take we'll read our concerns, and then the comments are made, and then you can respond to that, and then we call this a day. Alex will do the two of you the best we can. We will do what
Alex,
is
have
there.
My number. Call me, Alex.
Fine. You can engage in the Ballout, and then we also will plan it and discuss it with you guys to see whether we can bring you both on the air. But we have George Number is on the line. George Number, how are you?
Oh, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. And we are discussing Liberian politics this morning. We have with us one of the founding sons of Maryland County, Senator Ballout. I think you know him. What is your concern?
That's my former senator.
Oh, okay.
Countryman.
So, okay. So what is the concern? Time is really fast spent, and yeah.
Well, sorry, my photo cannot be shown because I log on a desktop.
We can hear you, Mr. Number.
Well, my first issue is with you, Jensen.
Okay, what is that?
You talking about Joseph Boakai age. You talking about the youth. Is that not the same song we sang when we had a 2017-2011 election, that a young person in the persons of George Weah was going to change the country, employ the youth?
Mr. Number, can you discuss the issue? Mr. Number, Liberians out there, the discussion out there is what I was emphasizing. Liberian, there are some segment of Liberian who believe Joseph Boakai is old enough. Is that not true?
Okay.
So Mr. Number is addressing that too.
That is going to those Liberians.
Okay.
And if you believe that they are saying, it's going to you too.
Okay.
That we preach this.
I take it as
we preached this sermon in 2017, 2018.
Okay.
And what did it bring us? More corruption.
Okay. No
okay. Right. Now, I know you don't like that line.
No. I mean, I'm an open-minded person, and
okay. Now,
just a point. We really don't have time. I think the way you start the discussion, we need to open up another. I would tell patients, if you listen to us, please organize a better discussion where Mr. Nomo will come on, Mr. Ellis Jones will come on, and Mr. Ballout will come on, and maybe we can have any other politician or anybody else can come on and all keep the discussion going. So, having said that, Mr. Nomo, can you discuss, ask a question to Mr. Ballout?
Okay. Well, last year, Mr. Ballout, I listened to him. Mm-hmm. He is a friend of the press on the ground.
Okay.
He stated that Joe Boakai should give way to Mr. Cummings. When we were talking about the fingering of the CPP documents, I listened to him. I heard him. That time he was pro-Cummings. But then Maryland politics has come in where Mr. Cummings has become pro Demorius. So not pro John Ballout. So they flip now that Cummings should go as Boakai or VP. I don't buy that. I feel that because he has been thrown out of hell and heaven. That's why he's making a statement here today. That's my senator, former senator. I respect him.
Okay.
And even the Sorokan Clinic, you carry a few days ago, Ballout knows about that clinic. Senator Ballout, they were the ones that put together, the affected community, the safeguard agreement, the affected community, and MOPP owed up to $500,000. The affected communities that include Sorokan, old Sorokan.
Yeah,
and nobody is saying anything about it.
Mr. Nomo, that clinic is a disgrace to Marylanders, but that is not an issue right now, Mr. Nomo. John Ballout has offered to unite opposition political parties.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would take your comment, but the issue of the Maryland, we carried out that school.
Yes,
it is disgraceful under these 8 people with new sticks to build clinic, and now the bucket board, what we call in the Tamat, they are eating up that whole building. That place doesn't resemble a clinic, and that is a disgrace not only to you two, Mr. John Nomo, but to all Marylanders. You actually sit and allow the Liberian people to suffer like that. But that's a separate issue. Mr. Nomo, you must be informed that Mr. Ballout is here to discuss the issue of political party. Again, as I said, time is not in our favor.
Okay.
We will have to organize this again where we bring other people on board and have a better discussion. Mr. Ballout, you want to respond to John Nomo?
Right. And before I even respond, and let me say directly to Mr. Nomo, I know him. We know each other. And I've been calling him, texting him, cautioning him some of his political interpretation, analysis, and to a greater extent and embarrassment, his political pronouncements. Someone like you, George, you're not a small boy. You're quite an elderly person. You should really check behind things before you conclude. One, I said that Boakai should go advise to Cummings at a certain point. I never did that. From day one, when I spoke with Cummings, I told him, look, you are a great man. I admire you, but I don't think you can win the presidency now. You would definitely be president of this country, but your path to the presidency will not be by popular vote. It will have to be through strategy. And no other better strategy than to support Ambassador Boakai, who is already in the lead. And you will be the backbone for this government. I don't say this because I have vested interest People think sometimes when I'm saying this thing because I'm contesting in Maryland, and when I told them I'm not contesting in Maryland. Do I want a job for any of these people? No, I don't want a job from them. I already occupy a space. That's a public opinion. I form public opinion. I help this country, and that is a very privileged position that I don't intend to compromise. So the next thing he says that Cummings is close to Moraes, and so that will Moraes is not an enemy of mine. In fact, the last election when we lost, we partnered together to express the irregularities of this thing. He's not an enemy of mine, he's a friend of mine. Oh, yes, I disagree with some of his methods, but there's not a point for me to discuss Senator Moraes here. But if Cummings decide to support Moraes or support any other person, that's their business. Moraes is not important in the discussion. Neither is Cummings to this discussion or Bouaka. What is important to this discussion is the future of Liberia. So I will urge Mr. Nubo to just be a little bit more matured in dealing with these things. Stop playing. This clinic you talk about, he wants to attribute it to me. He wants to attribute it to me. I left office 9 years ago. You understand me? The concession agreement that was put in there for the funding to go to supporting these clinics, the 500,000 you're talking about, there is no excuse that they didn't access it almost 9 years now. There's no excuse. It's not Ballout's fault. And the very concession he knows about, that he goes about, he knows the role I play. If you bring Mr. Nubo, and since he's one of your privileged co-hosts or guests, platform guests, I urge you to bring him, because when you are a statesperson who serves to the best of your ability with your conscience clear, you are prepared to answer all of these questions.
I agree. That's what
so just for the record, he can never produce a document that I told Bouaka to go second to Cummings. It would have been a perfect thing if Bouaka had been a kingmaker. You understand me? It would have been perfect. But if Bouaka decides he's going to run, then you have a problem. Then you have a problem. And someone, I think Mr. Jones was saying, it's not because someone is popular. Listen, I didn't say Bouaka is only popular. Bouaka is popular. He is experienced. He has the luxury of the institutional memory, and he has the popular mandate of the people. This man got more than twice all the other opposition leaders put together. So it is not a political dwarf you're playing with. This old man has great influence in this and leverage, and he is a leader of the opposition. So Cummings is the backbone, is the future of this country. Cummings is the one that can change the economy and build Liberia into what it should be. The Liberia to the promised land, Cummings will be the Moses to take it there. But he will have to go through a process, and that is uniting the opposition, going to the election, winning it, supporting Bouaka first time, and he has his term with the blessing of Bouaka and the opposition united. Thank you.
And I think if I can just make 130 seconds here, I think we'll have this discussion again. I think in discussion like this is good, because other than that, I think many people are living in a silo. They're living in a dreamland. Like Mr. George said about the young people, there's a difference between a competent young person, all right, and a person who has no work experience that George we have. That's a big difference. So, and this very incompetent man won Ambassador Bouaka by a wide margin, 14 out of 15 counties. And the last one I would like to make here, maybe you guys can learn from some of us, because I think the arrogance that I see with the people in United Party and the original party, there's a lot of arrogance. And it's this arrogance for people like Cummings that costing our country. Cummings is not the only person who worked in corporate America. He's not the only person who understands economics or finance. And Cummings has been a colossal a failure in terms of his political institution.
Well, Alex.
So you sell these messages. You sell these messages.
I think you still make the same mistakes. I
think we will, as I said, we will.
You'll be very surprised. I can tell you, you're going to be very surprised.
All right.
I think you need to take 2 steps back and understand the players, and actually be fair to them. I would not really, how is Cummings in any way colossal failure or whatever?
As a politician, he's been a colossal failure. As a politician.
Listen,
The failure of Liberian people to select good leaders is not a fault.
Oh, you can't blame the come on now. You can't blame the Liberian people if you don't sell yourself. Comey has not been able to even unite.
Okay.
In America.
Jesse, I need 30 seconds.
I mean 30 seconds, Mr.
Nomo.
Okay. We take this is we take a closing comment.
I will be on State of the Nation on Monday. I will be on State of the Nation on Monday, all right, through FM, and I encourage you to listen to my narrative because I think most of you are disconnected from the realities and you're going by 2017 results. And since then, there has been a big change in Liberian political dispensation, which you'll be very, very surprised.
How long have you been in America? How long have
it
you
doesn't
been in America?
matter. That's not the issue. That's not the issue we're discussing. That is not the issue. The issue is it does not matter. What I'm saying is I follow all the political activities. I write on them. All right. As a writer and a journalist, maybe you don't know me. I run a think tank in Liberia.
So let's talk.
So let's talk. It's up to it's the other guest. So any discussion you want to have,
definitely. We will encourage that. We encourage the conversation that will take place between bright minds. So for us here, that's what we intend. So right now, time is fast. Mr. Nomo, what is the final comment? 3 seconds.
No, you are not fair to me.
Okay, 1 minute.
You are giving Mr. Jones,
please.
You are giving Mr. Jones 1 minute.
Mr. Nomo, let's go.
So
the time is taking. Mr. Nomo, make a point, please.
Okay. What Mr. Balu said, Senator Balu, it is an affront to me.
Okay, we
that
already.
My statement is childish politics. Okay. This is the same Balu that met with me in Bolobo when we're talking about the land issue, and he felt that I was harsh on Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. He said, "Mr. Numo, you can bite hard and blow small." And this the same Balu who got money from Safeca when they were coming to previous Sorokan district, that he want me to exclude him. There's the same Balu who are getting $40,000 a year under any government, and he said, Balu, if we talk about political maturity, we talk about economic maturity, people that are fighting corruption maturity. This is the man who was asking me to employ his corrupt friends at GAC. So this is the man who is calling me.
Mr. Numo,
no, I'm telling you who he is.
Okay, Mr. Numo.
The clinic issue. I sent that attachment to him. He has not responded to me. Okay. The Bololu school, I sent it to him. He has not responded. So he telling me, he's saying here that he are trying to contact me with no response. No, he is not. He has not been genuine.
Thank you so much, Mr. Numo. Mr. Numo, as I said, and Mr. Balu has consented that we will have to have a better discussion. And
1 second, please.
Discussion.
Am I going to have a final word? Am I going to have a final word?
Yeah, just we'll give it because he makes some statement, and since you are here, we'll give you the opportunity to
Let me help you because, like I said, there's too much distraction in what we have to do in this country, and I don't have time for the petty discussions. For the record, Mr. Nubo knows very well the CRSC that he said I got money from, with 5 members of the Legislative Caucus, I'm the only one who opposed them taking the farm. He knows that. So can you say whether I'm speaking the truth or not, Mr. Nubo, since you're on the line?
You brought in
Mr. Nubo, please answer.
Hello.
Do you agree? Do you agree? I'm the only one who opposed them.
Jason.
Senator Balu, I would advise.
He wants me to answer.
No. Just answer the question. Is it true that I'm the only person who opposed them?
Senator Balu, we'll do 2 things here. We'll do 2 things right here, right? We have agreed, and I can assure you.
He's laughing because he thinks he's playing dirty politics here. And that's what I say. That's too petty for me.
No.
I'm not going to waste my time with this distraction.
I want to answer the man question.
The time, we don't have the time. We don't have the time. We don't have the time. That will lead to a lot of discussion. We don't have the time for that. And as I said, we'll organize it better. Those who have the time to come about.
Mr. Jensen, You invited me as a guest, and I honored your invitation.
Thank
so
you.
if someone comes here and makes this kind of reckless political gutter politics against me, then I must be given that space, and I must be respected in that space.
That's
and
what
let
I
me
said.
just say this for the record.
You are here. You're going to respond, right? But we cannot talk in the midst of these accusations and counter accusations.
This is a man who is accusing me. He's accusing me for a clinic under the plantation that almost 9 years, I've left office. He said I'm the cause of it not being like that because I didn't take the money 9 years ago. He's trying to attribute that to me. 1. 2, this is a man who is saying, oh, because I'm not getting the interest of Cummings to support me in Maryland, so I'm going against him now to say that I'm not going against Cummings. I'm not running in Maryland. Another erroneous conclusion on his part. There's a man who claims that I received 50,000 or 40,000 from the company to put them there, when I'm the only person who opposed this company taking that plantation because I knew of a better company. And he will know. I called the citizens, the entire citizens of that district, to a meeting and said, look, your caucus members are supporting these people, and I don't think they're correct, and I want you to introduce you to the right people. And he knows he was in those meetings with those people. So for somebody to come here and play these kind of little games, I don't have time for that. I don't have any interest in manipulating and saying things that I say. I support Cummings because he is a great man. I support Ambassador Walker because he's a great man. I support the United Opposition because they represent the future of this country. And when you talk about older person or younger person, I will give you a little parable of the Chinese. This is a good cat. It's not a fat cat or the black or the dry cat. It's not the black cat or the white cat. A good cat is the one that will catch the rat. Remain focused on that. When you have your objectives set and your eyes focused on your target, remain focused. And I don't have time for this kind of petty distraction that you bring on the floor on your platform. So thank you so much.
Okay. And again, we want to say thank to Senator Ballout, thank to Chuchu, Alex Jones, and Mr. George Nomad. This is the theater. Politics is all about ideology, and we encourage everyone to keep the discussion going. And Senator Ballout, you were our guest, and we want to say it was good having you on the platform, and we also want you to come back. I like the discussion, and as you said, you are focused. So if you want to engage politicians or Liberians, you must be prepared for some of these issues that will pop up. And then the way you go about it.
Man even said I send corrupt people to GSA for him to employ them. I didn't even know he worked with GSA. I don't even know where he
I'm glad that all of these questions. I'm glad that you are here to respond to these things.
I didn't know anything about
the former superintendent of Maryland County.
Mr. Numo, we're going to have.
I said GSA, and I said the former superintendent of Maryland County.
And that is.
I don't even know where you work. I don't know you. I don't know your name. I know your son. I know you. That's all.
We want to say thanks to everyone. And
I will go to you. Are you the head of GSE?
At this stage,
who are you there for me to carry somebody to you? I will take people to you. You bring people to me. Let me take people to you. Thank you so much for the issue.
Yeah, we want to say thank you so much for coming.
I'm not carried about this. But when you have these kind of people, then you have to deal with them. When you have this kind of distraction, then you have to correct them. That's all.
Okay. I mean, it's good that you heard the allegation and then you responded, but we still will feel there are better way to go about discussing that. Today, the focus was Liberian politics, and the reality is the opposition bloc must get serious, must be united. And if you have a Liberian that is thinking about, getting opposition political parties united, that's a fine idea, right? If you have a very good force, the incumbents, versus the opposition bloc, that would be a very good competition. Good elections, and I think in the balloting direction, those are good ideas. But how you're going to achieve that is left with him, and again we'll hear from him maybe in the next few weeks as to how far he has gone with those attempts. On the other issues that came about, those are all national issues. When you have people discussing, you have issues coming up, and I'm glad that he was also here to respond to some of the comments that came on. That's how we want to say thank you for those of you who cannot read all the comments here today because of time factor. But again, we will respond. We'll respond to these comments in writing. Okay, I want to say thank you so much for being there. Until next time, this is the African Actions Network radio and television station. We have been hosting Maryland former Senator and Ambassador for Liberia, John Ballout. Have a pleasant